I hate both of you.
Welcome to One Foot on the Ground.
This is Ashley.
And this is Johnny.
And today we are watching Highlander.
1986. And,
Very nice.
Johnny, this was your first time, right?
Yes, it was. We'll get into that. What is this movie about? Please tell me.
It's about special boys fighting over who gets to be most special.
Oh, that's a great description.
That's what it is.
It
They're
is.
all immortal, with the one caveat that they have to be beheaded in order to die. And these fools are living hundreds, some thousands of years. And when you behead a person who is like you, a person who is just as special, they enact a thing called the quickening, and their power goes into them. Or the dead person's power goes into the living person, and it makes them stronger.
So, question.
Let's hear it.
Did they explain that in this movie somewhere and I just wasn't listening?
Yes and no. There's a lot. Okay, like,
Because-
all right, when I watched this yesterday, I was like, oh, maybe I should have watched this before picking it for John.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, because, well, but the first go through, you're like, what? Why? What's happening?
now wait a minute. You've seen it before?
I have, but the last time
Okay.
was 15 years ago, maybe?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was probably the last time I saw it. I picked it because it was a Blu-ray on my shelf that was not opened, and I was like, well, this is a cult
Well, there
classic.
you go. Well, I've heard a lot about this movie, and there's many, many other ones too, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Right?
There's also a TV series. That explains a lot more.
Did it have the? Did it have the same actor?
Christopher Lambert?
Yeah.
Yes. That
Okay.
man works. He's in a lot of stuff.
What do you? Oh, he is.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him at all.
Are you joking?
No, I didn't. I asked Jason because he came through at one point and he's like, because he's seen the movie, he liked it, and I I was like, I've never seen this person before. Like, who is this guy? And he's like, oh, he's in the movies, and I was like, okay.
He's also in Mortal Kombat.
That's
iconic
that's the
film.
one he brought up, and I've never seen that either. So I could not point him out in a lineup. But okay, so you had me watch this, and
I like that. I like that I've wronged you.
it is long. First of all, it's just under 2 hours.
Yes.
This could have been a 30-minute pilot episode for the show, as far as I'm concerned. It was way too long. I don't know why it had to be that long.
So get all
And
those eye darts.
I felt,
More of those darting eyes, man.
I mean, it was badly photographed. I don't know I don't know why it was framed the way it was half the time. The fight sequences were ridiculous, and I'm sorry, and this is probably maybe the first time. I did not care for this at all, and I just wanted it to be over so bad. By the time it was just too long. I don't understand why half of it was even in there. I mean, I,
Like what part, John? Like, walk me through it. What parts were confusing?
well, first of all, I didn't pay attention to half of it because, and the
Well,
funny thing is I didn't need to. That's what I'm saying. Like, it could have been shorter because you didn't need to put all that in there. I don't, and I couldn't exactly tell. I mean, the fighting sequences, like I said, were too long.
I will give you that. Especially the fighting sequence in the parking garage where the guy was flipping
Oh
out.
my god.
Like, how
Mm-hmm.
long did we have to watch that man backflip?
You only need one. Hello, Batman Returns. I mean, I know that's years later, but I'm just saying, like, we only needed one, and we're good. Maybe two, just to show how impressive it was. But it's like
No,
just
you
because
need
you got an
100
acrobat
backflips.
to come in and do that, it was long. And then, okay, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I will say the things that I liked. So I liked that they didn't spoon feed you
Yes.
how the movie worked, if that makes sense. Like,
Hmm.
they did not say, it didn't have any text telling you this is modern day New York. They didn't say this is 15 something Scotland. They didn't tell you any of that. They just
Yeah.
dumped you in there. And they didn't explain any of what was going on. And like I said, I've never seen this, so I had no clue what this was even about. I just knew that there was a guy with a sword because I've seen the picture 8,000 times when I worked at the movie store. So I knew they had something to do with a sword. So that's literally all I knew. And I kind of knew Sean Connery was in it. Um, and I don't know. So I liked that. I liked the premise of it. I thought was good. Like, I thought if these people had a bigger budget and maybe
Yeah.
more time and a better photographer, this would have been a fantastic film. And I actually wonder if the other ones are better, if that makes sense. Because if you had such a low budget for the first one and it was popular, you're going to get more money for the next ones. So I actually did wonder if the other ones were good, and I thought about watching because it popped up to watch the next one, and I was like, I don't
Like
know.
I can only do this so much right now.
I don't know if I can go into a whole nother one. Um, so that was I liked that part of it,
Right.
but and I think some of the dialogue was actually kind of fun. Like, I can see why, like, Jason, I think maybe it was Jason, somebody, maybe I've just heard quotes from it before, I don't know, but it was a quotable movie.
There were a lot.
Okay,
Um,
I got a good example. So, okay, hold on. So there was at the end, I know we're jumping all over the place, but at the end of
no,
the
go for
movie,
it.
there's a
Uh-huh.
long ass fight sequence between the main two people. And it goes on and on and on. I don't even know what was happening half the time. There was water. I don't know where the water came from. I was very confused. And then
It was the beans, wasn't it?
I don't know what it was, but there was just tons of water and there was fear of electrocution, I think, maybe. I mean, that poor woman looked. I mean, and the screaming women in
Well,
this movie
she's
were
not
just
immortal.
ridiculous. Well, I know. And that's okay. Okay, there's so many things. Okay, so but anyway, so the long sequence where they're fighting, they fall through the ceiling, okay? And then all of a sudden the girl's in the room and I'm like, "Well, how did she get down there? She didn't fall. How'd she get down there?" And then after they're fighting some more and there's just too much footage. It's like I don't understand why you have to keep cutting to the girl who's trying to open a door. I think maybe she's just over by a door, and then and she looks desperate the whole time, and then eventually, like, he gets the main guy, the good guy gets knocked out, and the bad guy goes towards the girl or something. I can't remember. It's just too long. But anyway, this is what I'm saying about it being too long and how it could have been cut down. So the girl knocks the guy in the head, and then the good guy gets back up, he does a little sword thing, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's about time or something. He says something like that, like, oh, it's about time you showed up and helped me or something. And I was thinking, yeah, that line would have worked if this had been quicker editing. Like, you don't wait
Yes.
2 minutes and then, like, oh, it's about time. Well, you mean 2 minutes ago when she was helping you? I'm very confused about. I know that you guys are immortals and you're going to live forever, but that doesn't mean you have to bore us to death while you're doing it. I mean, hello, ew. So there was that, but there was also the I think it was, well, it was this, it was the fight with Sean Connery and the bad guy
Oh, Kurgan?
toward the beginning in the weird stone house of some sort,
Kurgan. Kurgan?
something
Kurgan.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name? Clancy Brown. He
Sure.
he was in another movie we did. Another movie you did not like.
Do you know what's funny? It took me until the very end of the movie to realize where I've seen him before. He was in Carnival. He was like uh, the preacher in Carnival, the one that was
Oh,
like
maybe.
against the carnival.
He was also in Starship Troopers.
Oh, was
He
he?
Yeah, he
I blocked most of that out. I don't remember it.
and he's I think a lot of people know him for like the voice of Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob, but I didn't watch a lot of SpongeBob, so I
Yeah, I've never
didn't.
seen that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Never watched that.
I kind of missed that, but I mean, he also does a lot of work.
I did like I said at the very, because I recognized him, but I couldn't figure out where I'd seen him, and I was like, I know I've seen this guy, but I think the reason that I didn't recognize him is because he was so young. Because I've seen him old. Like I saw,
Yeah.
like, a Carnival was what, early 2000s or something, so way after this, obviously. I did recognize a newspaper salesman uh, who had like a two. So actually, I would say it was a small part, but every part is big in this movie because they just filmed everybody for the longest time. But he was.
They really did, but there's a lot of older movies. It's like especially movies from the 70s, man. They just loved to linger
They do.
around.
I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. My favorite film is Barry Lyndon. It is very long and not much happens, but it's like structured and it works. Like if you're going to have something like that, it has to work, and this just did not work. And I fear that
Yeah,
there's a
it also
director's
was
cut
a
somewhere.
I watched the director's cut.
Oh
I
god,
was just gonna
no.
tell you that, yeah. I know that you streamed it because it's available on Prime.
Yes, yeah.
But I badly wanted to watch a Blu-ray that I hadn't watched, and so I own the director's cut.
Oh
And
god,
by the
no.
way, the Blu-ray had like just launched me into a bunch of like what VHSs used to do, and old I guess DVDs as well.
Oh,
Like
advertisements.
yeah, advertisements for like other movies of the time. And
I
I was
hate
like,
that. You
oh, how
purchased the
weird.
damn thing. You should be able to not have to see those.
Not to have ads, yeah.
Like I always think, like I understand a lot of old DVDs and Blu-rays, like from Blockbuster, where you kind of want to advertise other things because you want people to rent your damn movies. But
Hmm.
in this day and age, I don't think that's a thing they should do anymore. I really don't. Like I think it's obsolete. I think if you want to watch a movie, you're going to watch a movie.
Yeah.
Like we have the internet, there's YouTube. We can watch trailers on IMDb. We don't need to have that anymore, I don't think. I hope somebody
I
at Universal is listening.
I mean, the people for the Nelson box were listening.
Yeah,
They,
listen.
yeah, they sent me a doohickey.
A doohickey.
Yeah, they sent me an invitation
Oh, that's
for
right. That's
yeah,
right. Oh, I remember
and
that now. Yeah.
it was to an old address, and I was like, oh,
That's funny.
but
Why does my
also
lighting keep
weirdly
getting
flattering.
weird? That's not an audio portion of the podcast. My lighting
So
keeps going dark.
something I know that's in the director's cut, that's not in the theatrical, and I don't know how much more information I got than you, but I do know the relationship with Rachel. The So Connor has an antique shop, and then there's like an older woman that works there, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
the
she was the little girl that he saved.
Oh, so that was in there. I thought that her
Yeah.
backstory wasn't. Yeah, so she's like his like daughter. They can't have children, but
Yeah. Okay.
take
So
care of
that's
her.
a good example of like, okay, that's fine that they put it in there, but like, and it was relatively short. It could have been shorter, but the problem I had with it was, and this is definitely an '80s issue. Like I
I
think
would agree.
I think if this was more modern, I feel like the filmmaking would have made more sense. It's like they tried to light everything way too much. Like they lit everything. Like, does that make sense? Like, don't light everything, because that whole set for that Nazi situation that they were in looked so fake, and then it was shot
Well,
way
they
too
also had
wide.
like a budget of 16 million.
No, no, okay, that's what
And
I'm
that
saying
all
though.
went into that tumbling tower, I
Oh my
assume.
god. I mean, believe me, the tumbling tower was kind of fun, but it was again way too long. And the girl just kept screaming randomly. I was like, first of all, Sean Connery told you to leave the shack immediately. And you stood there the whole time screaming for no reason. Like, you should have left. And then there were gigantic holes in all of the walls. It's not like anything was keeping you in there. Like, get the fuck out of here and stop screaming. I literally said that to the television because I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. Get out of there. Why
I
are you in
also
there?
don't like that she stayed. And I really don't like. So, for, I mean, I guess people listening have to have watched it because we haven't explained really anything.
I mean,
Yeah.
good luck. Good luck, everybody. If you
So, Sean Connery is a special boy,
with
and
a poofy
Kruger.
shirt.
Oh yes, because he's Egyptian, but he looked like he came
Oh,
from
no,
Spain.
no, no. He's supposed to be Spanish. Okay, and that was another thing. At some point during their big fight sequence, all I could think was, God, Sean Connery gets away with being other nationalities in movies constantly, but he always has a Scottish accent. And I'm like, how does he get away with that? And then I just learned, I read IMDb, okay? And
Okay.
it said that, where is it? The opening voiceover by Sean Connery has an echo effect. Okay, hold on. Because it was recorded in the bathroom of his Spanish villa where he had been working with a voice coach in order to perfect the Spanish accent that he used in the movie.
Oh, that definitely didn't read as Spanish.
I'm sorry.
Oh no. Well,
Not
all right.
until
So
they mentioned his name, and I was like, and then they mentioned that he was Spanish, and I was like, it's almost like you're force feeding me this information because Sean Connery cannot pull off the fact that he is Spanish because he was Scottish, and
didn't
that's
he
the
say he
only
was
reason.
Egyptian? Didn't he say he was Egyptian when
No, they kept saying that he was like a Spaniard or something like that.
well, I thought he flat out told Connor that he was Egyptian. Maybe I misunderstood because
I
I
don't
thought he
know.
asked if he was Spanish, and he was like, "Well,
He
Egypt originally," or something like that. And I was
whatever
like,
he
"Oh, that's
was,
weird. That's a little weird." But
whatever he
also,
was,
he's
he
walking
wasn't.
around with a Japanese katana or a samurai sword.
I mean, I can't even explain how none of this made sense to me. It was it was the
It's
most.
well, Connery was I think he's 1,000 years old in this. Like he's like old.
Well, that was another thing I read in this little thing, that he was supposed to be a lot older, but they changed his birth year from, hold on, he was supposed to have been born in 1408, but they gave him 1518 instead, which feels to me like it was around the time that the flashbacks to Scotland, or that's the other thing. Were they in Scotland? I don't know, because I just assumed it was Scotland because Sean Connery was there. I don't know. It might not have been.
They were Scottish. The
Okay.
McLeods.
I guess
Yeah.
Highland and the McLeods and
Yeah.
okay, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's where the McLeod Special Boy started. He
uh,
started
I can't.
in Scotland.
It's just I don't know. Like I said, I think if it had been, oh, it does say something about Egyptian in here. Anyway, I think if it was, if it was, I mean, like I said, all the things that I said earlier still stand. Like if this had been
I
better,
agree,
I don't
and
even.
I think that that's what I hated most about Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal is how much like time they just like lingered on everything and like brought me back to the lore that like could have been significantly shorter,
I
but
mean,
I think that that's also why people loved the Dark Crystal,
well,
is
I,
like the lore behind everything and how it all like
yeah. Well,
comes together.
I don't even think the Dark Crystal gave you enough backstory. I mean, even
They,
watching the Dark Crystal show, clearly they did not give you any of that information because that was a whole lot of good information. But I feel like with something like the Dark Crystal, the reason I'll forgive some of it being long, which I will admit that it is long, like they do exactly what you're saying. But for me, it's beautiful to look at, so I kind of don't always mind. It's kind of like Barry Lyndon. I kind of don't mind because Marissa Berenson is standing there in a gorgeous dress with a beautiful wig, and I'm like, well, I could just look at this for hours. I really don't care what's going on. So, if you give me something
something
else
else
to
to look
work
at.
with, it's fine. But this did not have any of that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like the way this was lit. I don't think it was photographed well. Like, like I said, for that Nazi segment or whatever, where he got the little girl. So that part, like I said, if it was lit differently and maybe not so wide, because it was shot really wide so you could see the entire room that they were in. It was like, you don't need to do that. And it looked fake because you did that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if this was a war going on, the electricity wouldn't work because it would have been knocked out during all the bombing because you were going into a bombed location. So it would not have looked like that. There's no way. You wouldn't have seen everything clearly, and that would have helped with the atmosphere of the scene instead of lighting it all up like the 80s and shooting it from really far away so it just looks stupid. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was all filmed like that. It was like the director or whoever didn't know how to photograph a scene properly. It was really weird in that respect. And I get that. I guess this is a movie that men probably enjoy
Oh, yes.
because it felt like that the entire time. I was like, this is a bunch of dudes that got together and made a crappy ass movie because they
I'm
thought it would be cool. Like
I'm pretty sure
it,
it started as a college thesis.
yeah, like I
No,
just,
like sincerely.
and like I said, I think the whole lore and the like I understand why this became a longer series of films and a show because it makes sense to tell that story. It's a fun story, but it just was not executed well at all. And the makeup, oh my god, the makeup was horrible.
Well,
Horrible.
yes. I love Kurgan, Clancy Brown. Like
No.
I loved it. I loved it. He just looked like a big bad 80s villain the whole time.
But
He was
he
wearing like massive furs. He was wearing animal heads on his like head.
yeah, but he the cut wound on his neck. I
Yeah,
was like,
which was weird
dude,
that it
it
didn't
looks like
heal.
scotch tape. Like I
Especially when they put the
the
safety fence
pins.
around it.
I was like, oh my God. And even Jason, because he walked in during that scene and he was like, that neck looks horrible. And I was like, I only wonder, like, because we're watching it in, like, I'm assuming high definition streaming
Yeah.
because I pay for it. But, and you watched it on Blu ray. So, and this is one of those things about clarity in films that might not be so good. Like, if this was projected somewhere, it might look a little different. Like, we've talked about it before, but when Tron was Tron Legacy, not the original, but Tron Legacy, when I saw that in the theater, the younger Jeff Bridges that they did for the movie looked amazing. Like, I remember in the theater, I was like, holy crap, that looks crazy, how good that looks. And then when I saw it at home in high definition, it was completely different. Like, you could tell that that was a computer generated Jeff Bridges. It did not look real. So I feel like there is some kind of, like, there is something about projecting a film that makes a difference rather than a high definition situation. And I feel like that might be why this looked so bad for parts of it, because it was like, I don't think that should be in high definition.
Consider what it would have looked like through, like, a
or on VHS
from the 80s, or on VHS.
VHS. I feel like this would have been one of those moments where I probably would prefer a VHS of this movie, because I think it would have worked better.
Probably. It probably would have looked better. Yeah.
It would have helped it. Bouncing around yet again. The ending, though. The ending. Like, I was, like I told you.
I loved it. You probably hated it.
No, hold on. I was, like, waiting for this goddamn movie to end. I was like, please, just get on with it. Like, just chop off the guy's head. I mean, there were so many moments where he could have done it and he just didn't. He sat there and gave looks to the camera. I was like, oh my God, just cut the guy's head off. So he finally does. And it took forever. And even that end sequence, like, okay, this is what I'm saying, Ashley. Like, the end fight, when they finally fell through the glass ceiling thing into the big empty room and had the windows, if that had been lit better and composed better, that would have been beautiful. Like, it reminded me of Kill Bill, when the lights go out and it's that backdrop in the...
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. But like that, the whole shadows and the silhouettes and everything, it would have been spectacular if it had been done better and had better coloring too. But it didn't have that. Like, oversaturated or something. It would have looked amazing. But whatever. Not the point. It didn't. But when he was, absorbing the dude's energy or whatever it is, I loved all of that. Like, all of that animation, I loved it. I was like, that should have been half the movie. Like, I would have sat through that. Like, that was cool. And even though I was like, okay, I get, it's like, I don't know how to explain that. It's almost like the budget, there just wasn't a very good budget for this. So, but at the same time, I feel like if you had a bigger budget, it wouldn't have been as fun. Kind of like the Terminator. This is what we've talked about this before. Like, I prefer the first one because it was stop motion for parts of it. Like, it was very handmade, and I love that. When it got to the computer-generated crap, I just don't think it's as fun. So having a smaller budget and not being able to afford maybe fancy special effects that you thought would work, like maybe... Because when this was 86, when was Ghostbusters?
87?
Oh, was it after?
Wait, hold on. Let me look.
I feel like
because
Ghostbusters
they didn't. I know
that.
they didn't use special effects for, like, which I thought. The special effects. Oh, 84. Apologies.
Oh. Okay, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like now Ghostbusters, it worked because those people knew what they were doing, but how they filmed, like, Slimer, kind of almost like Zero.
Was twice as big.
Yeah, yeah. Like how they filmed Slimer as a puppet, and then kind of did a, what do you call that, matting or whatever. Like, they added him into it. I don't even know if it was post-production.
Through layers? Like, is
Yeah,
that what
like
you're
they
talking about?
layered him in basically. And that worked. And like I said, if they had a bigger budget and tried to do something like that, I feel like it wouldn't have worked as well because they would have been trying too hard and it would have been stupid. Like I think that was the one time that their small budget worked beautifully for them because the animation was it was almost like Pink Floyd's The Wall. Like
Yeah.
the animation was gorgeous. I was like, yes, more of that, please. Now that would be an issue going forward. Like if they did that in other ones and they tried to make it more fancy, I'm like, don't make it more fancy. Keep it hand drawn because that looked amazing. Anyway, so that was
No,
cool.
no, that's my favorite part. That
Yeah,
like sequence of, because it's just like a bunch of lines. It looks like a bunch of creatures and it's just going in and out of him. And what it does it is that where it like loops through his eye a whole bunch of times, and you're
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. And I was gonna say the only part of that that I didn't like was when they showed the fake head that exploded, and I
I
was
love
like,
the
no, because I kept thinking like I had to rewind that several times because I was like, why was there a fake head? It didn't make any sense to me, and then I realized it blew up. But the problem is that it blew up too fast. So you
I
didn't
didn't
even. I
even
just
notice.
thought, yeah, it did. It was made to be blown up, like it exploded. But like I said, it happened in like one frame, so you couldn't even see it exploding, and like you just saw a fake head all of a sudden, and it was like, why? Like that's
I
why I said
I registered that as like a, I don't know, just like a weird trippy thing.
it.
Like
It
if
did not
they may
work.
as well have just like had a computer face. I was like, was that a doll head? Why?
It was
Love
weird,
it.
and that's what I'm saying. Like like I said, I rewound it several times because I was like, why was there a fake head? And then I realized because the shot, like they show you the fake head, and then the next frame is like bits all over the screen, like it blew up. But that didn't make sense either because he didn't blow up. I mean,
No,
it was
that was
just
his
that's
friend's
what I,
eye blowing up.
that was the dude. That's the dudes. All the men sitting around. They're like, let's make a fake head and blow it up. That'd be cool. It's like it's like, but it doesn't make any
Absolutely,
sense.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying about having more money to make the special effects for that scene different. It would have been horrible. Like, don't do it. Just leave it the way it is. And it worked. It was very nice. Um, I did read about the swords clashing.
The special effects with
They
the
were
car
real.
battery. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
that's
thought
kind
that
of
that was
cool. I thought that was like drawn in later, like Star
like on the
Wars, like
cells.
yeah, like the Force
Yeah.
stuff. Like I thought it
Yeah,
was.
no, they hooked up the swords to car batteries that were just like out of picture, out of frame.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime those blades touched metal, they sparked, which seemed like, I was like, man, did they need to do that? But you liked it, so
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Like, I mean, I, I only, only in the end did I think it was because I didn't know that watching the movie. I just thought it was faked. But then knowing that now, I'm like, oh, that is cool. Like now, I kind of would. I don't want to watch it again, but I.
it's cool that they did it. But I
But
was
it's
like,
cool that they did it.
who was that for? That goes back to
That's the dudes.
the
That's the
dudes being
dudes.
like, let's make the sword spark.
Let's make the sword spark. It'd be so cool.
Because there wasn't anything special about the swords, and
No.
I thought for whatever reason, I mean, it had been a long time since I've seen it, and I don't know if maybe there might be something in another movie, because the only ones I remember are this and Endgame, and Highlander Endgame, I believe is what it's called.
Oh God.
But or maybe it was because they had a special sword in here, but I thought that they needed to be beheaded by like a particular sword. Because these guys are just carrying around massive swords under their trench coats, just in the world.
Well, and that's another thing that bothered
They're
me
special,
because
but they're just
the
old swords.
the McLeod sword,
Mm-hmm.
like you see it, what once? Like I thought that that particular sword was supposed to be a big part of the movie, but he had some other sword the whole time. I was like,
He
that's not the
had
same sword.
he had Sean Connery's. He took Sean Connery's after he died. Because before he died, he tried to offer it to him and told him to break up with his girl because, like, it's going to be, like, real rough on him.
Oh
And
yeah,
he was just kind of like, go fuck yourself. And Sean Connery, like, used it to fight against Kurgan and lost. And I assumed that that's where he picked it up. Because I remember seeing that hilt, that snake-like white
yeah,
ivory type hilt when he
the
was pulling
less
it out under
attractive one.
in the in the parking garage.
Yes.
The one with all the backflips.
And like I said, I remember that sword, the high, like the whatever, whatever his name
McLeod.
was. McLeod.
Like a
I
McDonald's
remember
cloud.
seeing that particular sword on the box art for many of these things. So to me, it was like, why wasn't that sword like the sword that he used? Like he kept using this katana looking sword thing.
He used that sword as a headstone for his wife, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, after she
I
died.
mean, I was in and out. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
All right, so back to the tumbling tower where Kurgan and I forget Sean Connery's name. Not that you know his name in the movie, but
The Spanish dude.
yes, the Egyptian dude.
The Spanish Egyptian guy.
Got it. The Spanish Egyptian Scott.
They definitely said he was Spanish. They said it at least twice because I never would have remembered that. And the only reason I remembered it was because he was Scottish the whole time. I was like, this is very confusing.
Dude, by the way, Christopher Lambert's accent, absolutely awful because he was still learning English.
Do you know what's funny about that? I remember Jason was in the room and I was like, his accent is driving me nuts. Like, what is that? I couldn't figure it out. And I kept thinking, like, is he trying to do this on purpose to make it a character of some sort?
That was something they tried to do after the fact. Like, they tried to make him have an indistinguishable accent.
Well, and it turns out, like you were saying, like, he learned English, like, he didn't know English when he made this movie. So it's like, oh shit, like what? And they didn't know that when they signed him for the movie. They found out later and they're like, oh shit, he doesn't know English.
No, he's just repeating words on a page.
Yeah.
All that he's doing. And yeah.
And it was, now I'm like, okay. And I kept asking Jason, like, is he foreign? And Jason's like, I have no idea. I was like, and I was too lazy to look it up.
No, yeah, he's French.
I guess I could have looked up. Oh, he's French.
Mm-hmm.
I would not have seen. That's not. I thought he would have been like Russian or something.
No,
like that accent was
French.
fucking weird. Seriously, wasn't it? It was weird.
Yeah,
it didn't make any sense. And you were supposedly Scottish.
Nail an accent, so let's nail nothing.
Like, no, well, nobody can nail an accent. Like I said, you got Sean Connery, which would have been correct for the main character, because that's where he was from. the Highlander dude. But it's like, but you were supposed to be Spanish, so it's like none of the accents made any sense at all in the long run. Oh, we didn't talk about Queen.
Oh, wait, the Tumbling Tower. Movies from the 80s,
keep
Tumbling
going.
Tower. Sean Connery, like, tells Kurgan that the woman, like, that Heather, the Connor's one true love, is
the one that kept screaming
right before he knows he's, like, dead. He's like, oh no, she's mine. Like this dude isn't messed up enough to, like, take out aggressions on her. Like, I think that put her in more danger instead of being like, oh, she's just a peasant woman that I hired to pluck chickens or something, you know? Like, I thought that, I was like, you just put that woman in more danger. And then Kurgan goes down and finds her. And I do respect, because you don't see, like, there's a lot of movies that will show you, and as much as this movie lingered on many things, a lot of movies will show you a rape scene and it'll be
Oh,
far too long, and then there's like, and then you're like,
yeah.
why did I watch that? You could have done
Yeah,
that in a
yeah.
completely different way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's a funny thing that you brought that up because Jason was like, "Oh, this is where he takes her off to rape her," and I was like, "Oh God, I don't want to see that." And then they didn't show anything,
They
and I was
didn't
like,
show it. Yeah, they
"Oh,
just
good,
told you
okay."
later. Yeah, I was like, oh, I respect that because I had a memory of her being raped, and I was like, oh, here it is, and I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah. They just talk about it.
Thank you for not showing us that. It's the one
Yeah,
thing they did right.
and the end quickening and the pie.
Well, the
Sorry, the pie
yeah,
scene.
the quickening that was fun.
Yeah. So
Um,
let's talk about Queen, huh?
yes, yes. We got to go back to a couple of other things. Hold on, let me finish those things first, and then we'll talk about Queen. So, first of all, the newspaper salesman, like I said, he ended up, and I actually meant to look up when this movie was made because of this, but he was in Moonstruck, which we watched before. And that
Oh,
was the year after this. And I was like, oh, look, it's the guy from Moonstruck. So that was fun. But then the other thing to mention was, so, and I still don't know exactly what was going on in modern day situations. The police were very random in this movie. Like, it was like they didn't even need to be in the movie. I don't know why they
you want
were.
me to flesh that out a little bit
No.
from my several viewings?
um,
They
it didn't make sense to even have them in there because they were pointless. Like, I mean, yeah, at the beginning because they arrested him or whatever, but then like, why show them ever again? Because they didn't have anything to do with anything. They didn't advance the plot
I
at
think they
all.
were a segue for, oh, what's her name?
The girl,
Betty?
sure, Betty White,
Betty Wyatt, I want to say. I think Betsy Wyatt, Betty Wyatt.
Betty White, Betty White sounds good.
uh,
She should have been Betty White. That would have been awesome. Uh,
that would have been a completely different movie.
would have
Yeah,
been great.
well, I think it was like a way for them to introduce her.
Well, and then she didn't even make sense as a character because she was she a cop?
She worked with the police department. She was part of the forensics team, but she also had a massive passion for
Old
uh,
swords.
like ancient swords. And so
She
that was
really did.
something she wrote books on it.
Yeah.
I
Which
liked her apartment, how it had just like a bunch of antique swords like hanging everywhere.
oh, I didn't see those.
Oh, well. But
Clearly, I wasn't paying enough attention.
I thought that her and McLeod's relationship were weird, or I think I was just more grossed out by Connor because he was like trying to come on to her and he'd be like, "Do you cook? Because I think that we should have dinner." And so he effectively invites himself to her place and has her cook for him. And I was like, why that? If you want to like make her feel special, don't make her work for you. Take her out to dinner. You've like just met this woman. Anyway, they're at her apartment and I guess she cooks him a great meal. But yeah, there's like
When did
ancient
they eat?
swords everywhere. I don't think that they ate. I think they just boned.
Well, no, that was later. That wasn't the same day.
Oh dang, then
The
I
sex
might
scene was later.
I might
I,
be mixing it up. I might be
which
mixing it up.
I okay. So well, hold on. So wait a minute.
But yeah, so the
Oh
cops
no, the
introduce her, and
scene.
she's only there so that he has a love interest at the end of the movie.
Yeah, which I mean, whatever. But the part that bothered me was, I mean, oh god, there's so many things that just didn't make sense. Like, I guess they were there for a Highlander convention or something. Like that's why they were all in New York because they
Oh
randomly
no,
had that
no!
one
So
guy in a
when they
robe in Central Park, which I was like, is this a flashback? What's happening right now? I was very confused.
something that Sean Connery tells him is that to win the prize, which I think it could have been this. If this is like an old folklore thing, don't like you could call it something other than the prize, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
I mean,
to
not that I honestly was not paying enough attention to know that it was the prize.
so
In fact, I think I read that later.
in order to win it, you have to be the last Highlander
There
standing.
can only be one. Everybody kept saying
Yes.
that.
Yes they did. I was like, man, they say it a lot more than I remember. They say it with like every swing.
I did not know what they were talking about, but I assumed that there could only be one Highlander.
Yes. So so they like as they kill each Highlander, like the more Highlanders you kill, the stronger you get because like, you take their like life force or energy, whatever special dust they have inside of them. And
That reminds me of something else, but I can't think of what it was.
is it Jet Li in the one?
No, I never saw that.
Oh, never mind.
No, it was
Was it a
something like
robot
that.
chicken special?
No, no, it was like they absorbed the.
Hocus Pocus?
No, 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 no. Hold
Where they
on,
suck the
no,
energy out of children?
no. But I did think of that too. No, crap. I feel like it's a show.
It might be.
There were episodes,
Uh-huh.
and they had to collect the powers. Adventure Time. It was
Oh,
when
I didn't watch it.
Marceline had to slay all the vampires, and you realize later that she absorbed all of their powers as she killed them. So each one had a different one. So all the things that she could do as you knew her were things that
Mm-hmm.
she collected. Like she could float, she could
Oh,
uh,
like Rogue
turn invisible.
in
Oh,
X-Men.
maybe. Oh, yeah, 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 she did too. Okay, well, whatever. So, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
But as the Highlanders get fewer, what did he call it? They're they'll
There can only be
feel
one.
an insatiable urge to gather in a nearby place. So like they'll all be drawn to one location, and that location isn't known, but that location turned out to be New York City. He said it was a location not of our native land or something like that. And so
It was just convenient
they start to
for.
get fewer, and Kurgan is like really taking them out. uh, they all begin to feel that insatiable pull towards the city, and that's why they're all together at that time.
Okay. Well, my problem, besides all of that, was.
I think that's kind of like a battle royale, like the arena's getting smaller, like as the contestants get
I
fewer.
mean, that's fine. But my problem was okay, so you've got this random guy. I don't. I'm still not very clear on who he was. Maybe a cop? I don't know. But he was driving around randomly, and he saw the sword fight in the alley.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "What's that?" And he backed up and got out of his car with a ridiculous machine gun of some sort, like some kind of obviously illegal gun thing of some sort.
Of course.
It looked very fake too. It was like clearly that's a movie prop. But anyway, not the point. So he happens upon the sword fight. He goes into the alley and he's like, "What the fuck is this? I can't believe there's a sword fight." And all I kept thinking was, dude, there's a sword fight. It's not that hard to figure out. People are fighting in the alley with swords. Like, I mean, if I had come across that, maybe it's just because I am who I am. But if I had come across people fighting in an alley with swords, first of all, I wouldn't go near it. I'd be like, cool, maybe you're practicing for something, or maybe you're actually fighting, but either way, I should probably not be here for it. That's your thing. I'm going to let it go. He decides to go towards the fight. The beheading happened, a quickening, or whatever you call it, whatever. But then he shoots the guy with the machine gun thing, thinking that he's killing this dude. And I kept thinking, like, dude, you're just all wrong. None of this is, you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't get involved. You should not have been. Why were you even there? Why were you picking a fight by shooting somebody? It didn't make any sense. Anyway, so then when the shooting happened, everybody in the local vicinity decides to run toward the gunfire. And I was like, who does that? Nobody does that. This is not a mentality that people have.
They want
Like,
to see the drama.
no, who does that? I kept thinking that is the most dumb, ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, nobody would do that. If this was an actual situation where gunfire, like that kind of gunfire, not just like, oh, a one gunshot that you heard.
Okay.
This is like rapid fire from some illegal gun of some sort, which, like, you would not go towards that, especially an entire block full of people would not go towards it. It didn't make any sense. And and then they just kept doing it. I was like when the quickening was happening and everybody's lit up really badly, like I told you before, the lighting is ridiculous. And it's like just bad. And then I was like, why are you still walking towards this situation? This is stupid. And then the guy's like swording him and sticking him up in the air on the sword. And everybody's like, oh my, there's a man on a sword. Let me get closer. What? Hello? Do you not see that there's a man holding a man on a sword? Get the fuck out of here. Go somewhere, because this is way before cell phones. Go somewhere and call someone. Go to your house, which is safer, and call someone. Or go to a payphone. Use a dime. Because I'm sure at that point, I think a dime was about how much it was to make a phone call. Or maybe 911 was free. Maybe 911 is free on a payphone. I don't know.
911 is, it should be free everywhere. But even if you have a phone that doesn't have service, if you dial 911 on an unserviced phone, the cell towers are required to pick it up. The nearby cell towers.
Yeah, there's like, because I feel like even in modern iPhones of the day, there's, and this is all nerdy shit that I can't quite tell you properly, but this is like the filmmakers making this film. They don't know quite all the information, so they're just winging it. There is a way for you to use your cellular device in a more primitive way, like it's built into the technology. Does that make sense? Like a radio frequency. So you can technically use your phone, your fancy smartphone, to do a more primitive action, but it's just like buried in there somewhere. Does that make sense? Like there is a way to do it. I don't know how. I have no clue. But I know that it is a thing that you can do. So I feel like that might be the 911 situation where it might be broadcasting on a different frequency, so it'll just pick it up no matter what. Maybe. But yeah, that is a thing that you can do. It's like built into the technology. And I think I know this because of the woman who created Bluetooth technology, which is a thing. She was an actress. I can't remember her name now. I feel really bad. Brilliant, amazing woman that this is in like World War II. I think she came up with the technology for Bluetooth specifically for picking up signals. It was a better way for them to have signaling during the war so that it wouldn't get picked up by something else, because it's specific to like my headphones right now that I'm using are connected to my computer, and that's it. It has like a frequency that it's just using. It's not going to be picked up by I mean, obviously nowadays, yeah, you could probably pick it up somehow, but she created that technology, which go women, hello. But it's also funny that was like what, World War II, and we're just now using it like as everybody else. It's been around for that long. Isn't that crazy?
Heidi Lamar.
Thank you. Yes, that's her.
Yeah. Is she?
I don't think it's
the technology
Heidi.
that would be the precursor to Bluetooth.
Yeah, I think Hedy Lamar. I think it's Hedy.
Apologies.
It's okay. I listened to a whole podcast about her. That's why. Yeah, she was amazing. There's a lot of females in history that are amazing. There should be more talk about them.
She didn't patent Bluetooth, but she invented the technology that later works for Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's all that weird shit is available for you somehow on your fancy devices, but nobody ever uses it. I mean, obviously Bluetooth we're using, but you know what I mean. Like, whatever. You get what I'm talking about. I don't remember why we brought this up.
I don't recall either, but there it was.
There it is. There's some wonderful information about Hedy Lamar.
Man, what were we talking about? Let's talk about
I don't know.
How Sean Connery was only on set for 7 days.
Yes, and got paid $1 million to do it.
What? I didn't know that.
He got $1 million for 1 week of work.
That is, and you know what? And he criticized the production team for it. Like, well, not for it, but he said that they were inefficient or something like that.
Well,
he was like,
I'm not surprised.
They aren't doing a great job.
I watched the movie. I am not surprised that they.
Yeah, but he came back for the sequel.
Well, that was on the demand of Christopher Lambert, because they had become very good friends during the making of this movie. That they, so he insisted that he come back for this.
Connery and his original character.
Yeah, I guess with the poofy sleeves.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm sorry, is Scottish. Oh, is the eyeliner supposed to be Spanish? Is that why he had eyeliner?
Oh,
to make
I
him
don't know,
look
maybe.
more Spanish?
I was thinking, again, I was under the impression that he was Egyptian. So I thought the eyeliner was his Egyptian callback.
Maybe
his clothes
they just
definitely scream Spanish.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they I swear, I'm not joking. They mentioned that he was Spanish at least twice because, like I said, I was half paying attention and I knew that part. And I kept thinking, I thought it was...
It's because he is Spanish, and I don't know why I think he's Egyptian.
I just saw Egyptian somewhere in what I was looking at. Like, maybe he was supposed to have been Egyptian. Oh, look. Ramirez was a Spaniard rather than an ancient Egyptian born more than 2,000 years earlier. There you go.
Oh, it was because they changed his...
They changed it.
That was all tied in together?
I guess so. But Connor was born in 1408 instead of... wait a minute.
That?
Yeah, and, whatever. He was supposed to have been a different character, and they rewrote it. But again, he did not have a Spanish accent. I don't care what anybody says.
The only person who had a fine... Wait, I don't know. Did Clancy Brown have a fine accent? Yeah, let's,
Who's Clancy Brown?
He's the Kurgan.
The bad guy. Oh.
The guy with the sweet, sweet rags. With the safety pin.
The safety pins. Oh my God, it looks so terrible. All I could think was, you've seen that show, what is that show called? Face Off or something, where they have the people that come in and do
the movie makeup stuff?
Movie makeup stuff. And all I could think was, this was not camera ready makeup. That's a big deal in those shows, that you have to be camera ready. You have to be, if this is a multiple take situation where you're going to have to take multiple takes, it cannot come off of this person. And all I could think was, this was not, they would never have gotten through the show. And I kept thinking, the makeup artist who had to do that job, can you imagine them now watching that in high definition, be like, oh shit, how did I ever get another job? Or maybe they didn't.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that and the stunt choreographer, the fight scenes, because the fight scenes were very stiff. And again, this is the 80s. It's not like, unless it was.
I'll give you a certain amount of leeway for that specific thing, but there's only so much I'll give you. There's only so much.
It was very stiff.
Because Star Wars was 1977. I'm sorry, we were on this fast-paced situation, and wait a minute,
And there's also Bruce Lee movies. I mean,
Empire
don't
Strikes
get me
Back
wrong,
was
Homeboy's trained.
83, right? 83? What? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Had all the Star Wars come out at this point? All three? 77. Then what? 80. Whatever. They were all out. so, so you definitely should have had pacing better. And you should have had better fighting. I mean, even in the original Star Wars movies, if we're going to go back to those kind of things as an example, those were, like, if you look at them compared to the fight sequences that we're seeing in the more modern Star Wars, yeah, they're going to be a little more stiff because they weren't a thing yet. But then they became a thing and they got quicker. They got better. But this was just like, did you never watch anything ever? I don't.
It was just a bunch of guys that wanted to make a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they probably could have cut up that stiffness with editing. They could have, I mean, editing isn't like a solve-all, but if they were to have like laced the shots more, you could create a sense of speed, or, you know, like
they could have they could have done better. They could have done better editing. They could also have slightly sped up the footage.
Oh, that's
they could have.
Yeah,
like they could have done if they had done those two
would have
things.
Given them that stiff vibe. Like it's been 700 years, Connor. Like I think you can swing a sword by now. You've had all this time to practice.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think
but
they could have fixed it.
He did lose his trainer.
I feel like somebody now, in fact, one of our listeners, if one of our listeners out there is an editor of some sort, re-edit this movie for us using what you have and fix it. Somebody fix it.
If I had the patience, I would do it.
That's what I was about to say. You should do it. Like, you have the technology. You can do it, Ashley.
I do, and I could. I would have to rip. I mean,
you could. You should.
Could. I'd have to like edit like the whole soundtrack though.
Yeah. But speaking of the soundtrack, we got to talk about the soundtrack.
Let's talk about the soundtrack. Let's get right into it. This is usually like what people open with when they talk about Highlander.
Yeah. Well, it's the highlight. And, and honestly,
all right.
every time a Queen song came on, I kept thinking, "Oh yeah, Queen." So, like, that's a thing.
So what happened was the people who were making Highlander wanted to have a Queen song in the movie, and I think they were looking for something. I don't know. They were looking for one song, and they were hoping for something like Flash Gordon. Like, you know, they were like looking for like vibes like that, and they showed the band like what they had of the movie, the rough cut far. Yeah, and
good God, like, oh, can't even imagine how bad that would be.
And Queen was like, oh yeah, no, yeah, absolutely, yeah, we love it. And the band members went to their separate ways and each wrote a song for the movie. It was more than just they gave them a soundtrack. I mean, the soundtrack wasn't like released as a soundtrack, but they gave the soundtrack to the film.
Yeah, they I was reading about this, so I can't remember. I mean, whatever. The funny thing is when the film started, and it starts with a Queen song, and I kept thinking, I know this song, and because I do own Queen's albums, so and I kept thinking, like, do I have a Highlander soundtrack? Because like, do you know what I mean? Like, because I was like kind of like Flash Gordon. Like, I knew that they did Flash Gordon. I have that. But I was like, do I have a Highlander CD or whatever? Like, I couldn't figure that out. And then I realized, reading, because I had to look it up, because I was like, I know these songs. Some of them were, obviously, they chose them for the movie from their older stuff.
Yes.
And then some of it, like you said, they wrote songs specifically for the film.
Yeah, there are 3 that I can think of. I don't know if there's more, but it's
I think it was 3.
The Princess of the Universe,
which is the opening.
Yeah, and it's the one that they did a music video with Lambert with, Who Wants to Live Forever, and It's a Kind of Magic.
Yes, which that was the title of an album they released after this that had that on it, but I don't think it was the same version. The the song, my favorite song from all of this was Who Wants to Live Forever. And that was not released until way later because I think that was on Queen's last album before Freddie died, or it was
Oh,
like right around that time. And the funny thing is like I did not, like I said, I never knew that these were from Highlander. I had no clue. But that song, to me, I thought that that was a song that he was writing towards the end of his life. I had no idea that this was written for this movie. And it makes sense that it was written for this movie. But
yeah.
I love that song. I love that song. And I always think of Freddie Mercury when because it just, to me, it felt like him at the end of his life, like talking to Who Wants to
Yeah,
Live
no,
Forever.
no. Now I hope you think of The Quickening when you
Oh
reflect
God,
back.
no! I will think of Freddie Mercury, please, and thank you.
No. I thought that A Kind of Magic was super. I thought that that scene, back to the World War II scene with Lambert and his daughter to be,
Mm-hmm.
when she asked like why he didn't die when he was shot, like because he was shot, right? He was like protecting her and he got shot a bunch in the back,
Yes,
and she was
I
like, "Why
thought
didn't you
she was
die?"
shot too, but I guess I
Oh
was wrong.
no, I would have liked an immortal like lady,
Yeah,
uh,
where's the women?
like or just like even like an immortal guide. I think kind of like there's a comic called the Wicked and the Divine,
Hmm.
where there it's like a bunch of gods that come up through our time, and they like manifest in like pop stars and like famous people, usually people because gods need to be adored. And it's like, and it's like traditional like Lucifer and things like that,
Hmm.
or people like that. But there's one person that wakes them up, and they wake they I mean they die, but then they come back like in another generation later on. And I would have liked a sort of character like that, almost like a, I don't know, like a shepherd of some kind for these dudes. Somebody more than Sean Connery, somebody that like has the rules and tells them about sacred ground and such, instead of it just being like you have to learn from another Highlander that also kind of knows lore. But these people are also just born with it, and some of them like just don't know that they're Highlanders until somebody's chopping their head off.
Like, oh shit, I was immortal the whole damn time. Damn it.
Yeah,
Uh,
like I did dig that part of the story where Connor was exiled from his his community because he's in league with Lucifer because he didn't die, and then his lady was the one who like sold him out. She was like, "No, he should have
that's
been
funny.
dead." Uh,
I um I think that it's, like I said, I like the premise of all of this. I think it's fantastic. Um and I liked that it was not connected to some other lore of some sort. Like
yeah.
it was not, they were not vampires. They were
Mhm.
not muses. They were not what did you just say? The Lucifer, like they didn't have,
They weren't like, yeah, old gods.
yeah. Yeah, they weren't old guys. They were just, this was just their thing that they had. And that's fantastic. Like I love the originality of that. And I think that works. Like I said, I understand why there was more of these. Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
But you just have to do it better. Did they reboot this or something recently? I feel like there is something more modern that they did.
More modern.
Yeah,
There's more. There's a lot. There's
like on
How
Netflix
long
or
did that
something.
TV series go for? It was like 92 to 96, maybe.
No, no, no. I mean like now.
I know. I'm trying to think. I think Highlander like Endgame was 2000.
Because I feel like maybe it's one of the other dude type shows that I just never wanted to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna look it up right
Because I
now.
feel like there was something on Netflix or Hulu, or it was like an original, and it was newer. Like last year or
Oh
something.
my goodness, the series ran till 98.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why I found that surprising.
That's funny.
Movie series, Highlander
Of
franchise.
course, there's a Toyota named Highlander.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be the first thing to come up.
That's
Uh,
hysterical. Look at us looking up Highlander.
uh, Endgame was 2000. The Search for Vengeance was 2007, and The Source, Highlander: The Source was also.
Maybe it's something else that I'm thinking of then.
I mean, 2007 is, I guess, 13 years ago. Oh my word.
No, that's too long ago. I must be thinking of a different franchise that I never watched. That they made into something, I don't know. Some dude show that I never wanted to watch.
Maybe.
Anyway,
Mortal
yeah,
Kombat?
I don't know. No. Maybe. No. No. No, 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 it's not that one. No, it was God, it was recent. What the hell was that? It was something like this with Scottish people running around with swords. I don't know. Something.
I don't know. I don't know either. There's like a bunch of that from the
I'll
80s.
I'll figure it out. But it's not important for today because we know that it's not part of our
We know it's
film.
not part of this. We know it's not
Yeah,
Highlander.
it is not Highlander. So,
You had more. I'm pretty sure you had
did I
more.
have more?
I
No,
don't
I
know.
think that was
Maybe
it.
not.
We talked about Queen.
Hmm.
We talked about how bad this was. We
Yes.
talked about the good
But we also
ending.
talked about how good it could have been.
Could have been, yeah.
And I think
Um,
that when you
it needs a
reflect,
re-edit.
yeah, we talked about re-editing. Yes.
Pull a George Lucas. Somebody pull a George Lucas on this, please.
It's well then you're gonna have people who are upset because you took away their memory. Well,
I don't
no,
care.
because my memory was shorter. Like my memory of the movie was it didn't have all those lingering shots. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna block most of it out. This is like
But when
this.
you
This
go
is
back,
like no. This is like Alien. We've talked about this. Like Alien, the original, is longer than the director's cut that has additional footage. Like this is what I'm talking about. Like you
yeah.
can do this. You can make this movie better. Like, somebody just do it, please. Get
I
Ridley
mean,
Scott to
John,
do
you
it.
still haven't watched the other ones. They probably just like toned out the franchise. Again, the only one I remember is
Yeah.
Endgame, but I know that there's like a lot. There's a lot of movies that came from this.
Well, you know, I
One,
don't know.
3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so maybe only 6 movies and 3 series, and like 10 books.
Oh my
That's a
god.
lot. That's a
Oh.
lot of stuff to come from like one piece of work.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I guess like Star Wars also had like a bunch of stuff that came from one
oh
piece of work
god, there's
as
too
well.
many things
But
these days. Good lord. Um, let's just hope they don't do it for everything, because some things don't need it.
right, but then how are you
We
gonna
don't need any more shades of
how are you
gray.
gonna sell
Like,
those tickets, Johnny? How are you gonna sell all
I
those
don't care.
tickets if you're not making a remake of the Shining
Come up with something fun and new.
or the Matrix Part 4?
I can't believe they're doing that.
Yeah.
I'm slightly excited.
Me too. I'm not excited for the plot, but I am excited for what special like effects they do because the Matrix, like, you know,
Well,
kind of like broke in some action stups. It was also one of the
they
first
did.
movies to do. Well, now we're really out of it. It was one of the first movies to do like what is it to have like mixed martial arts? I was like,
Oh
oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry, first American film to have like,
it
mixed martial
did.
arts throughout it, right?
Yeah, I just recently rewatched all of those, and
Yeah, and the
I
cameras
love.
when they're
Yeah.
like falling and such, how they had cameras
Mm-hmm.
wrapped around them to capture that.
Yes, I in fact, There's did you ever see Buffalo 66 by Vincent Gallo?
That sounds super familiar. Hold on. I
That's
mean, keep
Kristen
talking.
Ritchie, Chris Christian Ritchie, Christina Ritchie, uh, not Christian. I don't know who that
Yes.
is. Uh, her male counterpart. Uh, that had that. I still don't know exactly if it was because what year was that? Are you looking it up now? What year was Buffalo?
Yes. It is 1998.
98, and Matrix was 99. So this had, at the end of it, it had a special effect that was, if it wasn't the exact same thing, it was very similar, and I always wondered if that's where they got the idea to do it, because it's almost quite literally the same thing. Like, it's a frozen moment in time where the camera moves around the action as it
Mm-hmm.
is frozen. It's very cool. um, I don't know how Vincent did it though. I don't know if he did it with that same kind of technique or what. I never looked it up or dug into it, so I don't know. But it's very cool. Anyway, not the point. So yeah, with the Matrix though, I think I love the Wachowskis. I love everything that they've done. I haven't been disappointed by anything. I know a lot of people are because they don't have attention spans or something. I don't know. I don't know what a lot of people, maybe because they don't like the queer community. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but
Oh, that's weird.
yeah.
Like
I mean, well,
look
I
at the
mean,
quality of work.
yeah. Like, and the thing that amazes me about the Wachowskis, other than like Speed Racer, but even Speed Racer was very original in the context of them adapting something. But they, all of their stories, they've come up with these. Like, it's not like they're adapting a whole bunch of things. Like, these are original ideas, are the majority of what they do, and it's amazing. So the only thing I'm excited about for the new Matrix is that it is one of the Wachowskis, and not both of them are not coming back because I think I don't remember which one is. Lana, I think, might be the one doing this
Lana's
one, but
directed and produced it.
the new one.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
yeah, Lily is not involved.
Yeah, Lily's not involved. She's working on something else, so she couldn't come back and do it. But I was very happy that they at least brought one of them in to do it, because I was like, you can't do this without them. I don't think it would work. I think it would be just a bad reboot of some sort. It's kind of like when they did their show, Sense8, like don't like. Well, I mean, they got to do all of it, but I'm saying, like, if they had gone too long and then had somebody else finish the series or something like that, it just wouldn't. It just doesn't work.
That was, and wasn't that a problem? Didn't Netflix try to, Netflix canceled them, but they wanted to finish it. And then
Yeah,
Netflix was like, nah, like you can like bugger off or whatever. And
yeah,
then Pornhub, right? Pornhub was like, we'll produce it and you can do whatever you want because we loved that show.
yeah.
And did the Wachowskis take that deal or did Netflix like take it back?
No, Netflix got it, and
Yeah,
they
Netflix
said,
was like, whoa,
okay,
whoa, whoa, whoa,
fine.
whoa, 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 whoa,
Whoa,
whoa.
whoa, whoa, let's make some money. Yes, you can do it.
Yeah, but
Well,
I,
the
yeah,
thing
I
is
remember
because
Pornhub was like, we know we're not the platform that has like scripted stuff that isn't like porn,
horrible porn.
but they were willing to work with them and create a platform
Yeah,
for their series or their
which
continuation.
which would have, I mean, however it was done, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
I think that whole moment in time was weird, because Netflix, they were kind of like Starbucks in the in the 2000s. Like, they grew too fast and tried to do too much, and then they were like, oh shit, we're running out of money, like, we got to cut back. And Sense8 was very expensive to make because they were
Well,
on
they're
multiple
they are in different
continents.
parts of the world.
Yeah, so they and good for the Wachowskis for even the authentic, the quality of them doing that. Like, Like, we're not going to just fake it somewhere else. We're going to film in these places and make sure that it is legitimate. And it worked better that way. But the thing,
And well, even because that had to have been tough too, or for the actors, I would think, because they're filming in their location this one conversation they're having with somebody
mm-hmm,
that's on the other side of the world, and
yeah,
then we're cutting back to that person on that other side of the world having a conversation with this person, and they're
yeah,
having the same conversations in two different places, but both actors are in two different places saying the
I,
same things.
yeah, I agree with you. I find that, and but the thing about, and this is the Wachowskis in general, like this is what I'm talking about with them being so fucking smart that it's ridiculous. Like, I want them to make more content because this is the kind of shit that you get from them. Is it's so good, it's so well thought out, it's so well planned, it's so well done every time they do it, and it's just good. I like
I mean, I
even
agree.
Jupiter,
I want
Jupiter
more Jupiter
Ascending.
Ascending.
Yes, me too. That is amazing. They like, and they created a camera technique, a rig or whatever it was, specifically for that film that eventually got used for other things. Like, they were like, it was, that's how good it was that, and this is what I'm saying. Nobody liked Jupiter Ascending. Like, it was very poorly received, but it's like, but well, I don't think it did fine. I think it, I don't know. I can't remember if critics liked it or not. Not the point, but the fact that you create a new
It
technology
didn't do
for
well at the
filming.
box office. I think it had a
Yeah.
weird cult fan base, and I think that people who like lore, like people who like Lord of the Rings, like
Mm-hmm.
just like people who are like into like a full world really dug it.
And
I
that's,
really
that is
dug it because I
exactly,
wanted
yeah.
more of the world.
Me
Um,
too. Me too.
but
That's what I'm saying
but
about
it
them
just was a box
specifically.
office bomb. It did not
Yeah.
do as well because they had a budget of like 200 million or at least
Something.
close, and they made 183, 84.
Oh, geez. Well, and that's it's just so sad. Oh, because I loved it, but I just, I think that that is their blessing and their curse. Like, they're so good at what they do, but it's going over people's heads because the, it's like they're being put out way ahead of their time. Like Speed Racer, that film is spectacular. It
Yeah.
is a beautiful work of art, but it's like nobody got it. Nobody understood it. They were like, "What? What is this? This isn't Speed. What's happening?" It was amazing, but it went over everybody's head. It's like, and then probably years from now, somebody will be like, "Do you remember that movie Speed Racer? That was amazing." It'll have some resurgence and a huge following at some point. But I just, I love that about them. I think they're amazing. I don't know how we got on this, but I love that we did. We don't talk about them enough. We should do some of their fucking films.
Oh yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm just gonna keep pulling out stuff that makes you angry. So maybe not anytime soon.
Oh, I can't think of one of theirs that I didn't like, so I own all of it. Um,
Oh, very interesting. All right,
yeah.
so back to Highlander. What would you rate?
Eh. Oh crap! I have to rate this.
And I didn't care for Cloud Atlas so much.
Oh, see, I loved that. They didn't
I thought
actually
that
do
one was
all
long.
of that. They didn't actually do all of it.
All right, so
That was a partial.
maybe that's why I didn't
Yeah,
like the before time bits.
the before time,
Yeah,
like
like
the
Thomas Hanks. Um,
Thomas Hanks.
is when they're in the future, but he's talking about the before time. Like he forgot, like they didn't carry English over in the future.
Oh, I
Yeah,
loved that. I loved that. I thought that was amazing. I love that they did not make it dumb for the audience. Does that
yeah.
make sense? Like,
It would,
that was
but I
incredible.
think
It's
the movie for me felt like one of those big movies that they like try really hard to fit in a bunch of big name actors, and then it's not as fleshed out or as
I
like
don't Agree. We should do that next.
I mean, oh man,
Because
that
we
would
should
be
talk
such
about
a
that.
dig back. I'd be like, this movie's too long.
Because I think that one works better the more that you see it. Because
So does
there,
Highlander.
no, no, that's not true.
Absolutely.
No, because there's stuff in Cloud Atlas that I did not. There's just so much that happens in that film. But I think the different layers of how it works is just. I mean, I can't even with that. Like Tom Hanks talks about it all the time. Tom Hanks talks about that all the time, like how every time he watches Cloud Atlas, like there's just more that he didn't realize was in there, and it's just amazing. But anyway, whatever. We'll do that next.
All right, we're doing Cloud Atlas next.
We're doing Cloud Atlas next. I'm not gonna let that go. We're gonna talk about it.
We're not gonna.
What?
Never mind. Go ahead.
Highlander. Oh, jeez.
Come on, John. You haven't been shy at all this podcast.
Four toes.
You know what? I was going to rate it 4 backflips out of 10. But
even 10's too many back. Oh no, 4's too many backflips. 2 would have been fine.
And as we were talking, I came in here ready. So I was like, I know my rating, I know my recommend, like I've got this. But as we were talking, I was like, maybe I can give it more than 4. Because as I'm talking more about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess there is like a lot of stuff that they did give me throughout the film that wasn't just, I don't know, tiring. And it's fun. It's a fun little ditty.
It's
if you know,
not a little ditty. It is a long, obnoxious ditty.
Yes, I just enjoyed it more the more I talked about it. So I think I'm gonna. No, I think I'm still gonna give it 4 backflips.
Yeah, I think our conversation was more interesting than the movie.
I know.
And so far, shorter.
But I still like the movie. Just because it has a low rating does not mean I don't like it. I just
no. I mean, I got some good out of it, but I didn't. I don't think I could watch unless you do a re-edit. I'm not going to watch it again.
We'll see.
We'll see
how that works.
Or somebody else out there, Footsie, if you want to re-edit this, please do it.
That would actually
make it like 45 minutes. 45 minutes would be good.
I bet I can find something on the internet that's already like
you probably could.
A quick version, a quick quickening.
Yeah. Like a quick quickening. Oh, that's good. Yes. There you go. What's your recommend?
My recommend is I've got 2. Okay. One is Dragonheart.
I've seen that.
And the other is Willow.
Ah.
Yeah. Or maybe
Willow, interesting.
But now I'm like, ooh, maybe Dragon Slayer. But I'm just gonna pump the brakes. So if you like this movie, you would like Dragonheart. I would be willing to guess a lot less.
Wait a minute, is Dragonheart the one with Sean Connery as a dragon?
Oh, isn't it?
I think.
And he like lifts up his scales. And he like
Ew.
tells him where to kill him. Like, yeah, he lifts up his scales in his chest, and he's like, he like wants him to kill him and like eat his heart or something. Oh man, do I not remember that movie?
Okay, I don't know about that. I don't remember that at all.
It's Dennis Quaid as Bowen. King Eon, David Wilson.
Oh, I think we might be talking about different movies then. Dragonheart. What was the other one you said? Dragon
Slayer was the other one I said.
Huh. I don't know. I saw one with Sean Connery was a dragon. I don't know.
What's your recommend?
Anything but this.
John. No, it's Dragonheart. He's in Dragonheart. He is the dragon in Dragonheart. It just did not.
I don't remember anybody eating up Dragonheart.
they want the heart of the dragon, and like towards the end of the movie, like the guy needs the heart for a thing, and the dragon lifts up its scales to show like to like give him like a spot because dragon scales are notoriously like impenetrable. So he like lifts his scales so that he can kill him. I think that's this movie.
I
Now
mean,
I've got doubts.
I don't know. I don't remember that at all. I mean, I felt it was a fun romp. I didn't. Well, okay. I don't know. Maybe that's what happened. What am I going to recommend? What am I going to recommend? Do you know what? I'm going to go way a different direction, but we're going to keep Sean Connery. I'm going to go for. Oh shit! What is that movie called? I own it. It's right here. Robin and Marion, I think it's called. I can't quite see the title.
Like
It's
Robin
just
Hood and Maid Marian?
yeah. Um, it is a film with he plays Robin Hood and Maid Marian is Audrey Hepburn. It is one of her later films, and it's very very good. It's them older, so it's not like young fun romping around. It's more like, yeah, he's probably gonna die.
I thought you were saying it's Audrey Hepburn and Sean Connery older, and I was like, John, that movie's from 1970 something. That is
Well,
not
that's
an
still
older
them
Connery.
older.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
but this
Oh,
is
maybe she
but
was just older.
Highlander is an older Connery.
Oh, you're right.
I mean, Sean
Well,
Connery, I don't recall him younger than what he appears in here.
I feel like he was always about that age, no matter
Right?
what.
Yeah.
Like, he's a weird dude. He did the right thing too, because he retired and did not come back for films at all. Like, at all. He was asked many times to come out of retirement for films, but he said absolutely not. Um, in fact, Indiana Jones, he was supposed to have been in Crystal Skull, uh, but Spielberg could not convince him to do it.
To
There
make
was
up.
there was one that he almost did, but I can't remember which one it was. But he stopped and he was like, "Nope, I'm done," and did not come back.
Right on.
And yeah, good for him. I wouldn't either. I'm like, I got money. I got that James Bond money. They keep selling that shit to people. And you know he's getting money for that. Seriously, I think about that constantly. Like,
Oh,
they
absolutely.
reissue those Bond movies on Blu-ray all the time. So it's like, dude, these people don't need to work anymore. They got all that Bond money. Psh, give me a break. And he was in a lot more than some other people. And he's got that one that's not official. Hello. Which one was that? Never Say Never Again? I think that, yeah.
The one from the 80s.
Yeah, the
Oh
one.
yeah, he was Bond before this, huh? He was
Yeah.
he was Bond in the 60s
Yeah,
before he was
60,
before he was his
68.
great Highlander role.
The great Highlander $1 million role.
Yeah.
He but even Bond, like when I watch those Bond movies, maybe it's just because I'm used to how he looks older. He
Hmm.
does not seem young to me. I don't know how to explain that. It's like, I guess, being familiar with him as an older actor, for some reason he looks more mature even when he's young.
I agree. No,
I feel
I
like that
100% agree. Like I
he
know
just
him as old,
looks
and
the
so he'll
same.
always be old.
Yeah, he's always going to be Indiana Jones's dad, like Henry Jones. Like, that's how I picture him. In fact,
Yeah.
I hope that's what he looks like today. I don't know. I do know when he, what was it? What one of the last films he did an interview on the Rosie O'Donnell show for it,
Mhm.
and it was so awkward because Sean Connery, like, and this is, I think, probably one of the reasons that he retired, because he was not working on all of his capacities, or whatever you would say. Like, it was very awkward. I felt bad. I was like, oh God, please end this interview, because it's making me
Oh.
feel sad. because it was obvious that he had like a delay in his responses and stuff. It was very weird. I was like, oh, I don't like this. Please stop.
Oh.
Like, so I was kind of glad that he retired, because I don't want to continue to feel bad about seeing Sean Connery. There's a lot of actors that did that, but some of them have to work. Some don't have that Bond money.
Yeah.
Like, look at poor Betty Davis. I mean, good Lord. That woman was working until... who... I mean, that, what was it, Watch Her in the Woods? Good Lord. I don't think she even knew she was in a movie.
The woman who was in Eraserhead is still working. The hot neighbor?
What?
Yeah,
No.
she's
That's
in a couple
crazy.
of like the only thing I can think of right now is an episode of Great News, that TV show that had uh Paris and Nicole Richie, is that Nicole
Oh
Richie?
my God, that show was amazing.
So
I
she
loved that show.
there
Where's
was an
more of
episode where
that?
the main character's mother was going through her parents' divorce. So Carol's parents were getting divorced and she was being like real weird about it, and she brought her mom to the office because they were going to go to the club and like hunt for older dudes. Her mom, the woman in the that they were pushing around in the wheelchair, that's the woman who was in
Oh,
Eraserhead.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
she's still working quite a bit.
That's cool. Good for her. I
Yeah.
mean, hopefully good for her. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope it's for passion purposes.
Yeah, I hope it's not for money, because she doesn't.
Yeah. Because she's much older now.
Because that does happen. It's so sad. Like, you hear that. I mean, like, even um shit, what, Sullivan's Travels,
Gulliver's Travels,
no,
Sullivan's
Sullivan's
Travels?
Travels, it
Jack Black.
Bombshell, blonde woman. Ah,
Charlie
crap, I can't
Theron.
think of her name. Super famous. Anyway, she
Charlie?
died like poor as fuck, and like somebody, she was working in like a diner or something, and somebody came upon her and was like, holy shit, like, what are you doing here? She's like, well, I can't be in movies anymore. Like, it was, it was really sad. I can't remember who that was. Sullivan's Travels. Shit, she's super famous. Like, you would know her name if you heard it.
Something happened like 2 years ago, I want to say, where the guy who was in the Cosby show, I want to say it was, or Family Matters, where he's like working at a grocery store now, and people were like taking pictures of him and being like, "Oh,
Oh,
look where he is
stop!
now," and it was
No,
kind of like, "Hey, don't be that way. He hasn't been working in
that's
like he hadn't worked in film in like years."
oh, see, that makes me sad. I mean,
Yeah,
some
but
people
like,
just Veronica Lake. That's who it was. It was Veronica Lake.
okay, right on.
Yeah, she. I mean, she was super fucking famous, but like they mentioned how she, um, like they would play old films at the diner that she worked at, and like it was awkward because at certain points they'd be showing one of her old films on there, and they're like, "Isn't that you?" She's like, yeah, that's me." But yeah, yeah, she declined as a star and
I mean, it
was,
happens,
yeah,
and
it happens, yeah.
sometimes it's not for everyone. Sometimes it's just something they did through college or something.
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there are, like, there's examples of that even to this day. Like, uh, I just thought of one the other day where I looked her up and I found out, she's fine. She's happy at home with her kids and living a life, but she doesn't work anymore. But it's so interesting when you come across something like that where it's like somebody that you are so familiar with and like you loved in the films and or shows or whatever, and it's just like it's just a job that they did, and it's a job. It's like like Friends, none of those people have to work anymore. They do because they like to do it, but they don't have to. All that Friends money, are you kidding me? Those people are set for life.
You
because
don't
that's a
have to
lot of
do
money.
spin-offs, Joey.
No, I mean, I feel like, but that's the thing. Like, a lot of them wanted to continue to work, and they did.
Yeah.
But for me, like, I think of that all the time. Like, I would love to get a gig on a show and just work for a few years doing that, get that money, and then I could just go home. I'm good. I don't need all that. Like,
that was nice.
yeah, that was good. That was fun. I was a famous character on a show. I'm good. I can go home. In fact, I prefer that. I think that'd be awesome.
So, are we sincerely doing Cloud Atlas next week?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna make you do that.
All right. I look forward to seeing that movie again.
Yeah, me too. I own it on Blu-ray.
All right. So yeah, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow us on things. We have
on
stuff.
Instagram, on Twitter at One Foot Podcast, on Facebook at One Foot on the Ground. You can email us at onefootpodcast@gmail.com, and like, subscribe, review, subscribe, like, do things to communicate with us through your podcasting platform, wherever you listen, whether it be I don't know, Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, or the Apple podcasting app.
Do it on all of them.
Yeah, do it on all of them. Just cross that platform. We see it. Super
cool. We'll see it. I'll be like, hey, look, there's a thing.
Yeah, John will do better about shouting people out.
Will I?
No.
Oh. Maybe we should. I didn't think about that. Maybe we should.
Yeah, well, there was a period of time that we didn't realize that people were commenting on, like, because they comment, like, on Podbean in particular, right? They comment
Podbean is the weird
episodes.
One. Yeah.
and so I didn't know that was a thing for a good bit until somebody else told me, and I was like, oh.
And I didn't know. I mean, I knew because I could see it, because I log in and post our episodes, but I can see the comments, but you can't respond on the website. Like, you have to have the app, and you have to have an account, like, logged in on the app in order to respond to people. And I was like, and every time I did that, I was like, oh, I kept meaning to go onto an app and do it, but I never did because I kept forgetting.
Well, even then it was still rough. Like, even then I was like, how I couldn't, like, figure it out.
Like, I mean, I feel bad because I'm like, whoever that was, I can't remember. It was one particular lady that did it.
Mm-hmm.
And we love you, whoever you are. Like, we're happy that you're listening. We love that you love Cher. I saw your comment. So this is a shout out to you specifically.
It's Robin.
Is that her name? Robin?
Yes, sir.
Well, hello, Robin. We love you. If you have Instagram,
this part's for you.
we might actually be able to comment back to you on Instagram. That's actually
where
true.
We hit people back a lot, but we're better. Well, I got more familiar with all the other stuff, so I think that.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough with Podbean, but I can.
Yeah, Podbean's the only one that's
2-week period.
Yeah, Podbean is the only, which is funny because that's where we broadcast our episodes from.
Yes,
but it's just the most tricky one to figure out. Maybe someday we'll upgrade to a different platform and we can comment better on them. Maybe we'll use Squarespace or something. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
We could.
Until then, though.
Until then, yeah.
Bye.
Don't watch this movie.
Hey.